It is times like this that people find themselves on the wrong side of history. It is times like this that a very shallow analysis of the situation can be very costly for you, long term, over a long period of time. Because just today, we had what are being called rebel ODM legislators appealing to their constituents. They held a press briefing, appealing to them not to show up for the demonstration scheduled for Monday. And of course, this group of legislators includes that former comedian who told us he was tricked into going to visit State House. And sometimes a shallow analysis of the situation is a result of somebody being very selfish, refusing to see beyond themselves and their close circle, refusing to actually interrogate carefully the plight of ordinary Kenyans. Because the truth is, and I've said this before, even without Azimio and Raila protests, it is very clear for anybody who cares to look that a vast majority of Kenyans cannot continue living the way they are. They can't, not for much longer. Something will have to give. Because the truth is, there is a lot of suffering, and a lot of it was triggered by the pandemic. And this suffering is not only in Kenya. It is virtually all over the world. However, in Kenya, we have a government that is insensitive to the plights of our people. And it seems that in Africa, we have a few other governments that have decided to go the same route. And that is why on Monday, when Kenyans take to the streets, they'll not be the only Africans doing so. The same will be happening in South Africa, in Tunisia, in Nigeria. Actually, we may just be seeing the beginning of an African Spring. Remember the Arab Spring? But in my opinion, it is Kenya ambaye imeiva kabisa. Imeiva mpaka karibu ioze. In my opinion, never before have I seen a government that has worked so hard to provoke its people into revolt. Never ever. Just yesterday, 50 cabinet administrative secretaries were appointed. Each of them will be taking home a salary of, wait for this one, over 700,000 Kenya shillings. Multiply that by 50. And this is happening at a time when Kenyans are facing so many financial problems. Indeed, in one particular docket, one CAS, Cabinet Administrative Secretary, was replaced by 7. I'm not kidding. One was replaced by 7. And when Kenyans were shocked and they asked, Allah, what is happening? The response of the Kenya Kwanza government was actually a very funny joke. And I would have laughed if things were not so serious. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua responded by saying, the appointment of these 50 cabinet administrative secretaries will help the government speed up its efforts of recovering the economy. What? My apologies. I had to laugh. I promised not to, but I couldn't help it. It was a bitter laugh. Can somebody please assist me here and help me? Because I know we have a lot of smart people on this channel. Many are much smarter than I am. Can you help me in the comments area below and point me to another period in history, anywhere in the world, where government has been so determined to provoke the people? Yeah. when people want to relax, when people want to look the other way and try to deal with their hardships, they provoke. When Kenyans hawataki maneno mingi, they provoke. Please assist. Tell me another place anywhere in the world where government has been so determined kuchokoza wananchi. In fact, in my view, things are so bad in Kenya today that if Raila Odinga were to succumb to pressure, because Baba has confessed, he has let it out, that is under considerable pressure from within and outside the country to postpone the Monday demonstrations. But things are so bad that if Raila were to abandon those demonstrations today, it would be worse, because it would be taken over by the people. And Raila Odinga would be kwisha maneno politically. How in this particular situation a politician, some politicians, can decide to call a press briefing to tell Kenyans to forget the demonstrations, it just beats me. Hata afadhali wangenyamaza. They should have just remained mum, kept silent. That would have been much better. What do you do when somebody is very angry? Somebody has lost it. Do you stand there and tell them, jaribu? Or do you try another way to provoke them? Do you do that? Or do you just keep silent? Yeah, and hope that that anger will pass? Anyway, for the better part of today, Raila Odinga and his Azimio gang were in Kiambu County, where they received a very warm welcome, from a county perceived to be a UDA stronghold. Although the real election results, according to the whistleblower, tell us different. But Raila and Azimio were received very, very warmly. And you could clearly, very easily, read the mood of the crowd. And they're suffering like the rest of us Kenyans. Although, I suspect they're suffering more, because many in this area are in business. And right now, doing business in Kenya is a nightmare. You see, the economic policy of this government is to instigate an economic recovery by collecting taxes aggressively right across the board, which is very interesting, because experts tell us there is no economy in the history of the world that has been lifted up by aggressive taxing. Taxing people already suffering. But what I want to draw your attention to is a very worrying trend that has emerged. You see, while in Kiambu, somebody threw a tear gas canister at the Azimio caravan of vehicles. And the leaders had to dive back into their vehicles to avoid the effects of the tear gas. But after things cooled down, the meeting continued. And Kalonzo Musyoka was the first to speak. And he said what was done was completely uncalled for. But I want us to focus on the possible motive. Now, let's try and think like the other side. Why would you want to throw a tear gas canister into a peaceful meeting? What are the possible reasons for doing this? Well, there's only one reason I can think of: to cause chaos. You see, this is just the kind of confusion and chaos criminals thrive on. Therefore, people would start getting robbed, violence, etc., etc. And you see, nobody knows where this tear gas canister came from. It came from nowhere. There was no policeman close to where the tear gas would have been thrown from. And in any case, a plainclothes policeman throwing a tear gas canister? Hey, for what? For what purpose? Now, when you take this development and add to it the utterances of one Mike Sonko, who warned Azimio and told them Nikubaya that they're going to be dealt with ruthlessly, you begin to get a clear picture of what the government plan may be against these peaceful demonstrations. Demonstrations that are anchored in our Constitution. It's constitutional. Nobody is breaking the law by picketing. You can't arrest them for picketing. However, you can arrest them for causing a disturbance. And how do you get them to cause a disturbance? You throw tear gas. You send a few troublemakers into the crowd to cause chaos. That's how you do it. And those are not the only telltale signs that something is up. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has made some very interesting utterances. Huyu mzee ambaye amekuwa akituletea shida miaka nyingi, na hata baba yake alikuwa anatuletea shida. I'm sure many of you caught those remarks, which Raila did not take kindly to. In fact, Baba has asked Rigathi Gachagua to let his father rest in peace. His late dad, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, one of the founding fathers of the nation. So what the Deputy President was telling us is one of the founding fathers of the nation, one of the individuals who played a major role in bringing us our independence, the independence which Rigathi Gachagua is enjoying, was a troublemaker. Bottom line, all we're getting from UDA are threats. And of course there's the spirited propaganda campaign. All the demonstrations have been postponed. All kinds of videos are popping up all over the place. And very fishy posts trying to discourage people from taking part in the demonstrations. Their constitutional right. All these are very bad signs for Monday, in my opinion. But you see, I sense that Kenyans are so determined, to rescue their country from people who don't care. So much so that this plan will backfire very badly on those behind it, whoever they are. Now in a few hours I'm releasing Weekly Intelligence Briefings number 101. We thank God that He has enabled us to reach 101 Weekly Intelligence Briefings. And in this particular edition, highly sensitive, I reveal, according to my research, what will most probably unfold on Monday and the days after. And it is scary. And so if you're a subscriber, look out for it in your inbox. If you're not yet a subscriber, take advantage of our current offer. Details on your screens right now. And make sure you're ahead of the game. Although that's a wrong word to use, this is not a game. This is very serious business. I look forward to seeing most of you in that Weekly Intelligence Briefing edition. Until then, this is Chris. Kumekucha. Nairobi, oh Nairobi, how I wail for you. Oh, how I wail for Nairobi. Why Nairobi? You have not mentioned Kisumu. You have not mentioned other parts of the country. Why just Nairobi? Go back into the annals of history. Go back even more recently into 2017 and even the second liberation of Kenya that aborted the fight for that liberation. Who took the brunt of all that? Was it Mombasa? Even 2007, was it really Mombasa? No, it was Nairobi. And therefore, history is telling us it will be Nairobi. And there's another reason. What have Azimio been threatening to do? They've been threatening to march to a certain location. And that location is where? It is in Nairobi. Nairobians, beware of the month of March.